Brad had supported Donald Trump in 2024, in part because Trump promised to change all that by becoming the most pro-life farmer president you'd ever seen. Instead, new tariffs cut into Brad's potential export market, and the emerging war in Iran had sent gas and fertilizer prices surging by as much as 70%. He was losing thousands of dollars each month and falling behind on his feed bill until he made the call he had been dreading his whole career. He dialed up an auction house to arrange the Watson's family final dairy sale last month. Thoughts and prayers, Brad? I don't care. Farm bankruptcies across the country have risen by 46% in 2025 and 70% in 2026, as nearly as a third of the world's fertilizer exports were impacted by conflicts in the Strait of Hormuz. Wow. I hope you have the day you voted for, Brad. How's it feel, right? See, Brad, you're the reason that we're here as a country. You're the reason that we're not a great country. I'm going to guess because you live in the Bible Belt, you actually don't follow anything in the Bible unless it has to do with abortion and being gay, right? You went to the voting booth and voted for a rapist, a felon. You ignored officers that were beaten and took their own lives after January 6th. You ignored the women that Trump sexually assaulted. You ignored the victims of Epstein Island that he's protecting. They're eating the dogs and cats. Shithole countries. They're poisoning the blood of America. You ignored the racism, the misogyny, insulting women, calling them fat and ugly. And you said, let me quote it right here, he promised to be the most pro-farmer president you'd ever seen. And ironically, in 2017, Donald Trump started a trade war with China. And you and your other white trash farmers went out there and said, oh, socialism's evil. I can't vote for the Democrats because it's evil. But please, government, give me $25 billion to bail us out, even though you caused this. And then you voted for him in 20, and then you voted for him in 24 again. The man with 3 failed marriages. How pathetic do you have to be to cheat on every single wife and have 3 failed marriages? Who added $8.2 trillion to the debt, who has 6 bankruptcies, 2 bankrupted casinos. And you went out there and goes, well, he told me he's going to be the most pro-farmer guy, so I'm just going to take him at his word because I'm a dumbass and he's a white man. So, let's just be real, Brad. You were never going to vote for the black woman. And you're finding out that racism has a cost. It's expensive, isn't it, Brad? How's it feel? How's it feel? In the last election, I'm a Christian, Brad. I actually care about other people, unlike you. You're a selfish prick. I voted for universal health care. I cared about the victims of school shootings. I voted for gun reform. I voted to raise minimum wage. I voted to tax rich people. I voted to get people out of student debt. I voted to help small businesses, knowing that my taxes would go up. You know why, Brad? Maybe you'll learn something here if you can get out of your bigotry and your misogyny for like 2 seconds. Because I loved my neighbor as thyself. But people like you get stuck in your right-wing echo chambers. And every 4 years, you ask yourselves this question, which is the biggest con in the history of politics. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Ronald Reagan, who said that trickle-down economics works. That's working out really great. He was such a genius, right? Yeah, not. Because you only vote for yourself, Brad. That's the problem. If you call yourself a Christian and you say, I believe the greatest commandment is to love thy neighbor as thyself, the only person that you vote for is yourself, which is why you're a selfish prick. And the last sentence in here, it's pretty ironic. Fraley had begun counseling farmers on how to emotionally endure the aftermath of an auction, suggesting potential hobbies or strategies for debt consolidation. Wow. What kind of counseling should the women get that Trump assaulted? Or the families that are remaining from the dead officers on January 6th? Or the victims of school violence like Columbine and Uvalde and Sandy Hook that you ignored? Or the women that are dying from sepsis because you took away their health care by voting for right-wing Supreme Court justices? What kind of counseling should the victims get of Epstein Island while the man you voted for is defending them right now by not releasing the Epstein files? Oh, but you need counseling because you can't take care of your cows. Wow. What a great man of God you are, Brad. What a great Christian. Just like Jesus would. You are what's wrong with this country, Brad. And you know what the difference is between you and I? Not just that you don't have a moral compass because you only care about yourself and your bank account, is I own a 6-hour P320. But if we as a society came together and said, you know what, we really need to address gun violence, because I'm actually pro-life, Brad, unlike you. You're forced birth. You don't care about life once it's born. You don't care if they're shot, if they're assaulted by the president, if they're molested on Epstein Island. You don't give a damn about life once it's born. So you can shove your crap about pro-life right up your ass. I would walk through broken glass barefoot and turn in my 6-hour if it would save one child. One innocent child, if there was any way, even if there was a 50% chance. That's the difference between you and I, Brad. You care more about a piece of metal in your stupid ass, freedom, freedom, freedom. But you don't care about the freedom of kids to go to school without being shot. That's the difference between you and I. I have empathy. You have empathy. I care about everybody else in this country. You only care about yourself and your damn bank account. It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than for Brad to get into heaven. That is exactly what you are, Brad. You built your wealth on the earth, not in heaven where moth and rust can't get. So good luck on Judgment Day, Brad. That's going to be interesting. I cannot wait, and I hope I'm there when you're standing before God and he's going to say everything that I just said, because everything I said is completely a fair question. What are you going to tell him, Brad? Yeah, but I needed money. I told you not to build your wealth on heaven. I told you to love your neighbors. What are you going to tell God when he points at all of the victims of school shootings? All of the women that are up there that Trump assaulted, the officers that died from after January 6th, 40,000 gun victims every year, the people that died from lack of health care, while the man you voted for is building ballrooms and arches and going golfing. What are you going to tell God? Well, God, he told me I'd have great farms and more money. Yeah, you can go down there with Jeffrey Epstein. It's up to you, Brad. You can continue to be a selfish prick and be a racist and a misogynist. Or you can stop being that way and actually start caring about other people. Have yourself a white day, Brad. I hope the racism was worth it.